Everyone, welcome to Zach Attack Reviews. Thank you for joining me for my review of episode 4 of The Last of Us. I've been loving this series so far. It's been a great adaptation of the game and it's expanding it on ways I never expected. I'm going to be breaking down the good. I'm going to be breaking down the bad of this newest episode. Let's start with the good. What I loved about this road trip aspect that we got to spend a lot of time, the first 15, maybe 20 minutes of the episode with Ellie and Joel in the car interacting, and Ellie really trying to break that sturdy wall of Joel's down. We get to see her curiosity and humor, things that I feel like are staples of her personality. And Bella Ramsey really gets to shine as this character. She gets her snark, her humor, all the puns that she was doing when she found the pun book, all the questions she was asking. She just has this really likable humor and snark about her that is from the game, what Ellie does, and she brings to life really, really well. We get a few fun moments between them, like a classic moment from the game with Ellie finding the porn magazine in the back of the car and Joel freaking out that this little 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid is reading it, and the comments that she made there and how she just really him to like open up a little bit was really great. Her using the pun book, like I said, and telling all these jokes, and him trying to and attempting to act like it's not funny, but he knows it is, and she's him with her breaking him down slowly throughout the episode, I thought was really fun and showed that building of that relationship. Because in the beginning, from episode 2 and 3 and beginning of this episode, is like they're working together and you see the team forming, but it's kind of like your cargo. I don't want to get to know you. And she's just like, you're protecting me. That's cool. As long as you keep protecting me, we're good. But we're starting to see a relationship building here. And as she starts asking questions and breaking down that wall, she starts asking questions about Tommy. He starts explaining Tommy's mindset growing up and how he was someone that wanted to be a hero and wanted to join the army. And then he joined the Fireflies and he quit that and he's doing something else. And Joel constantly trying to oversee and protect him. And we really got to see what they went through and what they did to survive all these 20 years. Things like killing innocent people or pretending to be hurt so they can rob people. Just little tidbits and things of what his journey and how he survived all this time to really color the type of person Joel is now compared to how he was when he was just Sarah's dad. And I think that was a really good and important part as the show leads on, a show like what he will do to protect Ellie and himself to do this mission. A nice change that they did in the show that they changed from the game. In the game, they went through Pittsburgh to get to Wyoming, but it makes more sense for them to go through Kentucky, so they did that. And while they're bonding and trying to get around, they run into a roadblock and then they get ambushed. And that turns into a shootout, something that was happened that was intense. And we get to see Ellie's first time hurting someone because one of the people that Joel didn't expect came up behind him and almost killed him. And she had to take action. She shot him. And it really showed like she's been so obsessed with like the death and how to fight, and we saw in episode 3 her cutting open the clicker or the stalker, and I felt like that was her like kind of getting towards more of like bloodthirstiness or like being excited by the action and death. But we really see it affect her, and the innocence in her really kind of start breaking down, and she's like, oh crap, this is kind of hard. And I really like that they highlighted that fact here that she's still a kid. And that conversation kept happening as Joel tried to explain to her that she shouldn't be going through these things at 14 and 15 is not fair. And what this did with Joel constantly prying and trying to see how she feels and talk about how she's a kid and she shouldn't be going through this, she reveals that this is not the first time she had to hurt someone. And even though she doesn't want to talk about it, it makes him connect to her in a way where he realizes that she's more like him than he expected. And I can start seeing those two connecting on a level like that of survival and doing what needs to be done to get on. And it's starting to, now she's becoming less cargo and more of a pair to him because she's doing what she needs to do to protect him, and he's going to do the same for her. And I think that builds on what episode 3 laid down. I think between Sarah dying 20 years ago, Tess' dying wish, Bill's letter, and now him connecting to Ellie on a survival level, I think we're going to see the Joel that we know from the game, but as you know, the viewers that had never played the game, seeing him open up and becoming the Joel where he cares about Ellie herself and not just getting her to the Fireflies, and where that conflict leads to in the rest of the season. And I'm really excited for that to be explored and maybe even expanded upon more, because they're showing parts of the friendship and relationship that we didn't get in the game, like them sleeping in the woods and them sleeping in the building, and that the banter that goes back and forth, or them hiding in the building. These are things that would be kind of, I guess, mundane and boring in a game that they could do in the show that's really exciting for viewers. And this episode expanded on the ambushers. In the game, they were kind of just obstacles for you to get to the next point and meet some other protagonists or supporting characters that you get to meet towards the end of the mission. Here, they are more like real life people with feelings and ambitions, and they took a lot of what they did in Last of Us Part 2, because in Last of Us Part 2 they started giving the people that you're attacking dialogue and things that made them feel human, and it made it hurt to kill sometimes. And they did that really well with the ambusher here, where he was crying for help and he just was trying to plead for his life, and then before Joel had to kill him screaming out for his mom. That really was gut wrenching for me. And I think it was very, very effective, showing how like the people on the other side of this that are attacking our protagonists aren't just terrible, horrible people. They're just trying to survive as well. And we get a look at the rebel leaders that took over QZ, led by a woman named Kathleen, played by the phenomenal Melanie Lensky. If you've seen Yellow Jackets, you know how great she is. Yellow Jacket fans, tell me in the comments below how much you love that show and how excited you for season 2 of that. And we get to see their operation, the people involved, and we see that they're after someone named Henry and his son Sam. Video game players, those two names mean a lot. They are essential supporting characters that lead to other stuff later on in the story. But the conditions that they're met in this game, in the show, and the conditions that they're hiding away is very different. So I'm excited to see how they expand on that, how it's changed, and they get the characters down, and if their fates are changed, because they changed Bill and Frank's fate in episode 3. Now let's talk about the bad. So I really love that they, get the atmosphere, the characters, the story, and the feel of the game transported into the live action and brought to life. But I do think the action in these first 4 episodes have been a little lackluster in terms of the intensity. The story of The Last of Us is what a lot of people praise, but what heightened the story was the immeasurable odds you felt like you were going through when you were traveling from place to place and you ran into humans or the infected. And I feel like we don't get that exactly here. I get that they're focusing a lot on the story itself, but I do wish that we would get maybe longer action sequences or more action sequences that were choreographed a little bit more intensely, where I feared for characters' life a little bit more. I don't quite feel like that in every single conflict. Let's get into my verdict. So overall, I really, really enjoyed this episode. It's another solid episode in the Last of Us series so far in season 1, and I felt like this was a part 1 to a 2-parter episode. I feel like we're going to get the full story and the full scope of how this story begins, middles, and ends. When we get the second part, I'm just excited to see Henry and Sam. We did get to hint to something boiling underground when the rebel leaders saw something crazy, and I'm guessing that is where we're going to first time see our bloater, which that happens in the game when you meet Bill and you go into the school. Clearly that's not going to happen because Bill is not alive anymore, and we're not going to be going to that school, so I guess they're going to incorporate here, and I'm really excited how they bring that to life and tie all this different things together. So I really enjoyed this episode. I really like where they're going with it, and I'm going to give this episode a B. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate episode 4 of The Last of Us? How did you feel about everything that's happening? Are you excited to see what is bubbling underground? Did you like the banter back and forth between Joel and Ellie, and are you someone that likes the changes that they've made to streamline the story, or wish that they may have just expanded it across multiple episodes? Drop all those comments down below and let me know. Like the video if you like my review. Subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 400 subs. I'm at 391 as I'm recording this video. So subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends so I can get there. I'm going to do a live Q&A once I do, and I'm going to be doing my reviews, my reactions, my ranking list, and other live discussions as well. So hit that notification bell so you can be notified of those. And you can watch more of my content right now.